We've talked through lead generation using telephone. We've talked about lead nurture and what does your prospect expect when they start engaging with your materials? And Kate's done a great job of demonstrating that. The next part is where the rubber hits the road and people get super excited. They talk about conversion. They say, we need to convert more, we need to sell more. And often the issue is not conversion. Often the issue is that we're losing people through the nurture process, or we don't have enough leads coming in. But I think, when we talk about conversion, there is an art to it. It's something you can learn. It's something that is super important. And I'd like to introduce our next speaker who specializes in doing this. So Ben Lai, who I've known for a few years now, he talks about sales conversion and how to convert more sales in 3 steps. But the key to Ben being so good at teaching this is he's not a salesperson, right? He's an introvert, and you won't know this when you meet him. I'm sort of probably busting his bubble. But what I do find with Ben is that he's amazing at telling stories. He's amazing at showing you how you put simple sales process in place without having to be salesy. So Ben, I'd like to hand over to you.
Thank you so much, David. How good are the presentations so far? I'm very honored to be able to speak beside Ashley, Kate, and Craig. Kate, I think you undersell yourself. You are amazing. You need to really own that and present that next time you present. So today I'm going to share with you how to convert more sales in 3 steps. Now, the thing about this is I am not going to hold back, right? I am literally going to give you gold. If you follow these 3 steps, you will increase your sales. Now, why am I doing this? The reason is because I want you to start seeing results for free. And I want you to think in your mind, gee whiz, if Ben is willing to do all of this for me for free, imagine what it would be like working with him. So that's, I hope you've got your pens and paper ready or your notepad on the computer ready, because I'm going to give you some really easy to implement techniques that will immediately increase your sales. Just a quick photo of my family. This was taken about 5 years ago. They're a lot bigger now. It's amazing how much 5 years difference can make. But as David was saying, I did want to share a little bit about my story. I'm actually a natural introvert. And to top it off, I'm actually a people pleaser as well. To put into perspective, I literally lose sleep when I think I've upset someone, right? This photo was captured just kind of at a networking function. And I think it shows me in my natural personality and environment. I'm not the type of person that likes to be center of stage unless I'm teaching stuff. Go figure, how does that work in the brain? But the reason I'm sharing this with you is because a lot of us have this false impression that in order to be effective in sales, we need to be extroverted. We need to have the gift of the gab, right? Well, I'm here to share with you that I was not like that at the beginning. And if I was able to develop a successful sales career and carry that into my business selling sales training, so can you. And by the way, when I first started this business, I was going out on my own, selling my services as a sales trainer. And I'll tell you that my sales pitch was one of the worst ever, which was totally ironic because the fact of the matter was I was no longer selling someone else's product, I was selling me. And that is the real challenge that we face as small business owners. Like when you're selling yourself, all of a sudden your self-esteem and your self-image comes to light. And if you don't have a solid foundation and self-belief in that, you will not be putting your best foot forward and you will not be earning what you really deserve. So what I'm going to cover today is that we need to first cover a few sales mindsets to make sure that we're covering our bases and unlocking any mental and subconscious barriers to you implementing the next steps. The next one is to be quick as a flash, to sell like a doctor, and to follow up like a friend. So these will all make sense very soon. All right, let's start off with the sales mindset and set some foundations. Now, why is it that we all hate selling initially? And I'm glad Ashley didn't feel this when she first started off, but we've all received the annoying sales calls, the pushy person that just won't take no for an answer, obviously not from Ashley's agency, from someone else. You feel dirty afterwards. Like seriously, I received a couple of months ago this a sales call, and they were using all of these sales techniques under the sun on a sales trainer, right? And I could tell that it was just a technique, and they just so pushy. I felt like I needed therapy afterwards, seriously. So when we go through this experience, it colors our perception about sales. And so, how do we rectify this? How do we go about doing the thing that we feel victimized by? And so, you know, a lot of us, when we have the picture of what a salesperson is, this is incidentally what comes up in one of the results on Google Images, right? And I imagine this guy saying, "Hey, you there! You look like a nice guy. Come here. You're looking to buy a car. I make a good deal for you." Right? That's the kind of image that we have. But here's the thing: they're pushy, they're manipulative, they're greedy. But here's what I'd like to propose: that rather than being these things, we be assertive, we be influential, and we are looking for the win-win. Now, how much better does that feel if you're in the sales process and you are assertive and you're influential and you're looking for a win-win? And I honestly believe this, that we have a moral case to sell as much as we possibly can. And here's how it works. Each and every one of you in this room, solve a certain kind of problem for a certain kind of person. Now, to illustrate this point, you might be familiar with the story of the Good Samaritan. So what happened was a guy gets beaten up and robbed, left for dead. Two religious people walk by, and they see the guy. They could help, they should help, but they don't. They're passive, right? So what a tragedy. But the Good Samaritan, on the other hand, he's proactive. He goes up to the person, bandages up the wounds, and then has mercy on this guy. So in the same way, if you have the ability to solve people's problems and for a certain kind of person, do you not then have a responsibility to find as many people with that problem as possible and then help them out? Now, the key here is that we're running our businesses for profit. We're not doing it for charity, but that's a different story. That's a different point that we need to address later on. But from that perspective, I want you to feel, in a way, that you have an obligation to help as many people as you can. All right, now over to the meaty stuff. Now, tip number one is to be as quick as a flash. Now, Craig's going to cover this in a little bit more detail, but I just wanted to illustrate this very quickly. One time I was comparing car insurance. This was 8 p.m. at night. So I submitted my details on a website asking for a quote. And literally 2 minutes later, I received a phone call from this company. This was back in the days before robocalls. So I actually answered the call. And oh, to my surprise, it's the insurance company with the quote ready for me. Now, why is it that these insurance companies are so on the ball that 2 minutes from inquiry to phone call? Reason is that they are paying $50 per click to their website. $50. They're treating every single inquiry as gold. Now, $50 is per click, not per lead, right? So they're probably paying hundreds of dollars per lead. So they wanted to treat these like gold. So you need to do the same thing for your leads. Every hour that passes by after they've submitted the initial inquiry exponentially decreases your probability of winning the sale. So you have to be very, very precious. Like you build a wonderful website that Kate designed for you. The lead comes through, contact them as soon as you can. It's a little bit different if it's a warm lead. Let's just say you've got a referral from someone, different story. But for cold leads or for people that have just gotten to know you, you want to show that you are ultra responsive. And the reason is this: people will naturally associate your responsiveness in the sales process with your actual service itself, right? So This is a very, very simple thing to implement, but it will significantly increase your conversion rates. Now over to the sales process itself. Now here's my advice. Sell like a doctor. In other words, diagnose before prescribing. Now I came from a nursing background. That was my first career before I went into selling. So I love the medical analogies. I've got them all over my training. So let me ask you this. How would you feel if you walked into the doctor's office with a health problem and then you tell them, oh, doctor, I've got this headache and it just won't go away. And then the doctor opens his drawer, pulls out a couple of Panadols, and then hands it to you and says, take these, you'll feel better soon. Right? That would be medical malpractice. This person would be banned from practicing medicine because he did no diagnosis. He did not find out where the headache came from, what could be causing it. You don't know if it's a brain tumor or if it's just that you're dehydrated or just haven't had enough sleep. He doesn't know. So, but in the same way, a lot of people practice what we call sales malpractice. They go around selling their services to every man and their dog. Right? Marketing companies are especially guilty of this. A Google AdWords company will think that everybody needs to do Google AdWords. A social media company thinks everybody needs to do social media. Right? That's the wrong approach. We need to ask questions, find out what industry are you in? What sort of service do you provide? Who is your ideal client? Where are they hanging out? You got to ask diagnostic questions to figure out, hey, are we a good fit? Am I the right provider for you? And are you the kind of client that I can provide value to? Right? It's a two-way street. You're trying to assess them in the same way they're trying to assess you. Now, mind you, this mindset is going to really reframe the whole conversation. It's suddenly you're positioning yourself from a position of strength. You're not desperate for their business. You're willing to say no to them. Right? What a powerful position to be in, where you look at their situation, you say, look, I'm probably not the right person for you, but I can recommend someone that is. So usually when I'm talking to new businesses, and they're saying, "Oh, I want help with sales." I ask them the questions, and I say, "Oh, you have zero leads. You got to talk to Ashley, or you got to talk to Kate about doing some getting some leads through your website, right?" And then once you've got that going, hey, let's connect again. Let's chat again later on. We got to put our desperation aside and be willing to diagnose before we prescribe. Now, here's the thing. I say sell like a doctor, but here's the thing that even medical professionals don't do. And us introverts, we're really great with the analytical side of the sale, but we're not that great about asking what we call motivational questions. And even the extroverts struggle with this. Motivational questions is an absolute game changer when it comes to sales. What you want to do is you want to find out in their heart of hearts, why are they, like, what is their problem and why are they trying to solve it? Right? So here are two questions. You can use these virtually verbatim, and it will help you to uncover the person's motivation. And motivation equals emotions, and emotions equals action. You want someone to buy, you got to move their heart, not just their mind. Right? So here's a question I always ask every person that submits an inquiry through my website. What prompted you to get in touch? And people are always pleasantly surprised to hear that. And you know what? Usually the way that the conversation happens is 15 minutes. We're talking about them. I ask, what prompted you to get in touch? Oh, yeah, looking to improve my sales. I'll ask lots of diagnostic questions, ask more motivational questions. I ask, what would it mean for you if we were to increase your sales? After 15 minutes, they're really excited. They feel understood and empathized with. And they say, hey, tell me a little bit about yourself, Ben. I love doing this. I love guilting people into asking me about me. Be so good at listening that people feel guilty and they feel obligated to listen to you. All right, so that's selling like a doctor. The next thing that we need to do is to follow up like a friend. We need to help our clients to act. We are living in the most distracted time in all of history, bar none. We've got distractions left, right, and center. For us as business owners, we have shiny object syndrome. What? You're not on Facebook? You gotta be on Facebook. What? You don't have a newsletter? You've gotta have a newsletter. What? You're not on LinkedIn? You're not on that platform? You're not on that platform? Distractions galore, right? Sometimes, even when people want to buy from you, they get distracted from buying from you. So, how do we go about following up without being like a stalker? None of us wants to be that annoying voice that says, hey, just checking in, hey, just following up, and adding no value whatsoever, right? So what I want you to do is to imagine this, that if you had a friend who told you about a problem that needs solved, you may not necessarily have the solution to their problem, but you follow up 1 week later and you say, hey, John, how are you going with that struggle of yours? Would you not appreciate, would they not appreciate a follow-up like that? You're following up like a friend. You're showing concern, but you're also being professional about it. Funny story. I once had a client who was the head of a big manufacturing company, and he was telling me about what this other salesperson that was trying to sell to them. And he said this word for word. He said, "Boy, this girl, she is so persistent. I suppose we should buy something from her." Imagine that. She was so persistent that he felt almost obligated to buy from her. Now, just as a disclaimer there, you can't just be persistent. You got to be client-centric. You got to show that you are acting in their best interests and not just selfish interests, right? You got to the reason for your follow-up is that you care about the client, not just about yourself. So here is the framework. This is exactly what I teach my paying clients. I'm giving this to you for free today. Number 1 is the decision call. Number 2 is the spear message. Number 3 is the goodbye message. So for the decision call, so this is at the end of the sales process after you've asked for their business. You can use this framework at any other stage of follow-up, and it will work exactly the same, and it will work its magic. So what you do is you book the decision call. Do not say, come back to me when you're ready, because guess what? They're going to get distracted. They're not going to get back to you. That's the sad reality. Book the decision call. And if they don't turn up for the call, you send them the spear message. You ask them, hey, I missed you at our call. Are you still interested in improving your sales? If they still don't respond after a few more days, then you send them the goodbye message, which sounds like you've gone in a different direction. I wish you all the best. Now, here's the funny part. The ones who wanted to buy from you, when they receive this message, they will respond in under 5 minutes, right? This is like magic, because they will immediately reply and they'll say, I'm sorry, I just got caught up. I was in hospital or whatever. Yes, I'm still interested, right? So follow this formula. It's professional, it's caring, and you will get results. Now, on the flip side, if they've decided not to go ahead with you, they will cancel the decision call, or at this point, they just won't respond anymore. And you do not follow up anymore, right? We have our integrity. We don't want to come across as desperate, so we don't follow up after the goodbye message. Now, I just wanted to share a couple of case studies of clients of mine. Now, so Kate was an interior designer. She had been in the business for over 19 years. She approached me to help with her pricing strategy as well as her sales strategy. Long story short, I worked with her on her mindsets and her vision for the business. I worked with her on her sales strategy and the way that she positioned her products. And then I helped her with the sales skills themselves. Now, she's a very gentle personality, introverted like me. And so the techniques that I taught her were completely authentic to her and congruent with her personal values. So over 12 months, I've got the recorded testimonial. She was able to double her revenue in 12 months. Now, this is not an isolated story. This is Ryan's story. Ryan is a roof restoration tradie. In fact, I just hired him back to fix my roof. So, so the relationship's still going. But Ryan's story was very similar to Kate's. He was undercharging for what he was doing. He was really being pressured by all of the other tradies who were cutting corners on and using cheap materials. And so I really had to help him with his pricing, to increase his pricing up to what the market value was for what he does. But in addition to that, to have the sales framework so that he can communicate his value, and so that people understand, whoa, you're charging this amount and the competitor is charging this amount, but I think it's worth paying the extra amount for you. So the net result for him was very similar to Kate's. We were able to double his revenue within a 12-month period. I'll just share one more case study. Simon, what a great guy. Such a bubbly, he's not an introvert, he's a total extrovert. He's a wedding and a corporate MC. So he was transitioning from being an award-winning wedding MC. He wanted to go into corporate, and he was not charging enough for what he was doing. So I caught up with him 12 months later, and he said to me over a coffee, Ben, I just wanted to thank you because I just got the biggest tax bill of my entire life. And I thought, what an interesting way to tell me that he's increased his revenue so much that his tax bill proportionately increased. He achieved a 3x increase in his revenue in 12 months. So I'm very proud of these case studies. And these are not even all of them. I've got a handful of others where I've been able to help them to multiply their revenue. Now, here's the question for you. Can I help you to 2x or 3x your revenue? Actually, my honest answer is I don't know, right? Because there are certain things that need to line up before we can achieve those kinds of results. I do not achieve this with everybody, right? But for certain kinds of businesses, with certain circumstances, it is certainly achievable. So what I'd like you to do is to book a 15-minute call with me. Scan the code, and Aya is going to put the link in the chat box. Let's just have a quick chat, 15 minutes. Then what I'll do is I'll invite you along to come to one of my group sessions so you can get to know some of my other clients, and get some more free value. And at the end of it, you can decide for yourself whether you want to work with me or not. No obligations, right? I've been in sales long enough that I've had my fair share of rejections. I do not take it personally anymore, right? So feel free to come along, just enjoy the value, no obligations. I would love to just have the opportunity to explore if we can really transform your business. So in summary, be as quick as a flash, sell like a doctor, follow up like a friend. Thank you.
Awesome. Ben, another amazing presentation. I will encourage people, if you have not had someone go through your sales scripting with you, a lot of people are scared of sales, and Ben just really brings it down to some basic fundamentals. And I think it is important that you have someone have this conversation.